Hello and welcome back to the Minetrek.net game server. This will be the first video for the new, wait for it, yeah, Voyager build. Blue Phobes and his team, I believe Killer Waffles, M. Heller, and a few others, went ahead and started working on the hull of the new Voyager, and they have been hard at work on this. They mocked up Deck 1 earlier this month. Excuse me, last month actually, because now we're into May. But yeah, they started working on this, I think it was in April, and they mocked up the bridge module and did a really nice job with that. And M. Heller said go ahead and start work on the hull. So Blue Phobes has been very busy, along with Killer Waffles, working on the hull. If you get a chance to pop onto the server, take a look at what's going on, I recommend you click on the Dynamap link in the description below and kind of scan the Dynamap to see where the ship is. It's kind of, I believe, currently in the upper left-hand quadrant of the map near where the Enterprise E is at. It's the construction yard area. And as you can see here, yeah, quite a bit's been done. M's been busy making sure everybody stays on task and trying to keep everything organized and well laid out, well planned, sort of a thing. We've had a few snafus and a few revisions. I stepped on some toes and other things, and for that I apologize for the guys. I didn't mean to do that. But yeah, they've done a fantastic job, and it shows. It really does. I mean, the amount of detail and love that goes into this ship is just incredible. I couldn't even begin to imagine the amount of time Blue Phobes alone has spent working on stuff. Look at that. Look at the detail he's put into stuff. And Killer Waffles working with him on the hull, doing a lot of stuff like that. We had some problems with deck lining and deck locations and windows and whatnot, but we're working on that. Um, they've been working over here. They've made incredible progress on this hull in a very short amount of time, especially with this section back here, because this was just so rough a couple of days ago. It was just amazing. The tentative window placement are those caution blocks there, and you can see there's a lot of hull detail going into her right now. She's a bit bigger than the previous Voyager by quite a bit. Yeah, we've discovered that while working on decks 1, 2, and 3, and I went ahead and brought over deck 4 and placed deck 4 in, and it's like, yeah, it's like 2/3 the size of the current space available. So yeah, it's quite a lot of space to be used on this new build. But yeah, check it all out. It's just phenomenally um, well done for the detailing. Now, some of the window placements will probably get adjusted. We've already ran into issues on deck 3 and had to move some of the windows in order to kind of make things fit a little bit better. We've also had to modify the deck plan slightly from the previous Voyager because we implemented some changes from the previous Voyager that we ran into issues when we were building her out. And oh my gosh, I couldn't even begin to tell you when we started working on that. You'd have to go back to the original Voyager build. But that, I believe, was 2013, 2014 when we started to work on her. That's the original Voyager over there. And you'll see there are deck slices and stuff like that for her over here, kind of as a guiding markers or whatever you want to call. But if you were to take that and put it in here, it would be grossly undersized. But let's go ahead and take a quick look here. We'll go ahead and go through the airlock and walk through deck 1 up through the bridge, and then we can go down to what we're working on currently. Let me go ahead and get out of spectator mode, and we'll step into the airlock. Here's the airlock. Here's a tentative mock-up. Again, all of this is subject to change, so don't get your pennies in a wad if you come on and things are different. But here's a tentative design for the emergency environmental suit lockers. And then this area will be reserved for the airlock systems and whatnot. And we step into the corridor here, we have the escape pods. And if we come back here, we have a little room right here for survival locker, first aid, or it can be, right now it's set up to be life support for deck 1. Deck 1 doesn't really need a lot of life support because, it's not a very big deck, but it's still good to have redundant. And here's where we departed from the plans quite a bit from the previous Voyager. We realized that there was just no need to follow those plans precisely, And I added a corridor access way here to the back of Janeway's office. Here's Janeway's ready room. You can see the guys did a really nice job on this. Just an absolutely fantastic job on this. Then we have this room right here, and then Janeway can come out here. We have a room right here that can be an office, can be this, second officer's office, or it could just be a spare office, or, if we decide to later on, go ahead and make this room part of the next room over, and which is this room right here, we can. It really just depends on how we decide to approach it later on. Then we have a little door right here. It allows you to step down under the bridge into a little alcove area where there's some batteries. These are, again, place markers, because I think the guys have updated the battery design, but I hope they haven't, because, yeah, these are the designs that are currently being used on the Enterprise E. So, yeah, if we update the battery design, then we got to go back through and revise the Enterprise E, because the Enterprise E is a newer ship than Voyager. So, yeah. And then we have the top of the I guess we'd call the power trunk line, because we are going to actually implement that into this design as well. Go ahead and close that. Here's the Jeffries tube. It leads on down into Jeffries tube stuff. And then we cross over here. We have a gangway that leads down to deck 2. Then we have another officer's office, if we elect to do that, which probably, this deck spacing really doesn't give a lot of room for things, so this could, the reason why it's an office is because there are windows here. That's it in a nutshell. There are windows here, so this is why it's an office. Yep. Anywho, over here you have a bathroom, and then you have over in here you have, of course, the conference room. And if we come through the conference room, we'll enter the main bridge, and this is where the guys really shine. They put a lot of detail into this bridge. There was a bit of an early speculation and discussion about going with a single beam or dual beam. Dual beam won out because dual beam is far more practical than single beam, and it allows for a lot more leadway in designing the ship in a lot of areas. And again, you cross back over into here and you're into Janeway's little ready rooms. Come back up here, take a look from up here. You have your turbolift with elevator or turbolift access points for both of the above hatches. Those are decals on the hull that needed to be accounted for, so they were. Yeah, check it out. They did a really nice job on this bridge. It is probably one of the best looking Voyager bridges I've ever seen implemented in Minecraft, bar none. And then we have a little stairwell down, and then we're back into the little access area here. Let's go ahead and walk our way over here and go down to the deck 2. Deck 2 was just created, well, designed last night. Or yesterday, early morning yesterday, and I worked on it quite a bit, and then I also worked last night on deck 3 and this morning on deck 3. Deck 2 went together pretty quickly for me. M. Heller and Shadow Appler were on, and they provided a lot of insight. I think Killer Waffles was also buzzing around, pointing out things. I'm not sure. I didn't follow the chat. I was too focused on what I was doing here, but if we kind of just get a little higher here, we can kind of see what's going on. Again, escape pods, and you have the rooms right along here, and you have the corridor. We've went ahead and started to add this trunk line right here, and a gangway, because those are two things that are not included in the Voyager plans, as well as, well, they do have a good JT system, but we're revising it for what our needs are for. And then, of course, Shadow Appler extended the turbolift go all the way forward here, which was a pretty good idea. I think that was actually a good suggestion on his part. I like it a lot. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead here real quick and gotta fix one thing right here. There we go. And yeah, so it all came together pretty decently here on this deck. We have a little bit more height to deal with, so we have a little bit more leadway when it comes to things and everything else. So the space up through here will probably be utilized for details and other little machinery spacings that we need to have for higher, taller machinery for the ship and whatnot. And I'm not sure why there's a door here, but that was just one of those weird things. Occasionally I find artifacts from when people are mirroring and stuff like that that kind of throw me for a loop. I got to go back through and double check a lot of stuff, because the starboard side and port side are not uniform. They are definitely different. You can see here in this image right here, you have a turbolift on this side and you have a gangway on this side, and if you were to say mirror this side to this side, it would mirror what's over here to here, and it would mess everything up. And I think that's probably why some of the stuff gets a little funky, and then have to go back through and double check everything. Let's go ahead and go on down here to deck 3, which was just approved, and we did some revision work. We're still working on this deck right now. This is deck 3. I went ahead and laid it out yesterday with Shadow Appler and M. Heller, and this morning I got on and I went through and I revised quite a bit of this deck, mainly because we had, again, window issues. And what we decided to do is go ahead and drop all the crew quarters along the side of the ship here down by 1 block. So basically, as you go through the thing, you just kind of step down into your crew quarters. It's a pretty novel idea. It's a simple approach to fix the problem with the windows. So, yep. Windows are the thing that will plague you the most on most builds. That and circles, doing perfect round circles and whatnot. But yeah, came through here. Back here, M. Heller added a large cargo area with Shadow Appler for the aft airlock right here. Pretty sizable airlock, so M wanted to make sure there was a large cargo complex complete with loading for the turbolifts. So we'll route a turbolift back here. It will mess up deck 4 slightly-ish, not too much, but we anticipated for it, and it will all come together for us. Again, these are our own unique Voyager plans. We think these are probably the best plans. They are certainly the bestest plans. There's a little joke in there for you if you all enjoy it. Anyways, the corridors are uniform from port to starboard as far as we can. I believe they are almost identical. There might be some slight changes from, some working on these corridors, these crew quarters over here that haven't been implemented yet over here, but I'll double check all that before I move forward. Did have a snafu yesterday. I misaligned my mirroring and was actually 1 block shallow on the port side, which threw everything off, so that set us back about an hour while I fixed that. Good catch for Shadow Appler. He's the one that caught that and made fun of me for it. Ha 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 ha. But yeah, you can see here, it's looking really good so far. We're off to a good start, and again, we're using the strategic design plans as a guide, and then doing a lot of our own implementation of needed areas and things like that, just filling in the space, moving things around, making it a little bit more, common sense-ish. And we have the luxury of it, and we're going to exploit that luxury. But if you look over here, we have a first aid station, we have a space pooper, and then we have a security station because there's a big airlock right there. So it stands prudent that you'd probably want a larger security presence on the deck with an airlock, being boarded and all. And then back here we have, looks like emergency equipment locker and damage control. Then we have additional cargo overflow space or emergency, quarantine area if you need to quarantine something. You got an emergency locker. Another EVA locker with airlock systems and stuff. Then over here we have, looks like the shield generator for this deck and all that stuff for here. And I believe life support for decks 3, 4, and 5 will be on deck 4. And I think life support for deck 1 and 2 are on deck 2 itself. So, plus you have the auxiliary life support for deck 1 if it has to be, jettisoned from the ship. I should point that out, that Blue Phobes did some detailing on that. If you look underneath the module here, this is the bridge module. The bridge module is actually detachable. So, when we lay in the space of, right here through here, it'll be the space between this little gap right here, you see right here, will actually be a bed for this to be in. So that's the reason why this deck has to be 4 tall, is so that we can do that. Also, there's a lot of details on the hull that were put into the hull, like these things right here, and we're trying to account for all of them. They're basically little access ports and access hatches that allow for ship maintenance. In most cases, they're just, you open them up and all there is a, you can plug in things, plug in power or activate a transporter and use it to transport something out there. Just like little remote control stuff, but they're protected by this so that they don't get, messed with when the ship gets like something lands on the hull. So it's like, ooh, I get to play with buttons. But in this one right here, it just comes down into the bridge module, into a little space like right here, and then there's a little airlock door, and then works its way over here, and then a little airlock door, and then a hatch up into the bridge. So just little minor things like that. So you can get outside if you have to from the bridge. It just, it is what it is. Anyway, so we're going to start work on deck 4 here, probably sometime today, maybe-ish. I'm not sure yet. Still waiting on word from M. Heller. She wants me to proceed with deck 4. But yeah, looking pretty good. Looking really good, in fact, for a May 3rd, 2020. Yeah, don't know when it'll be done, but hopefully by summertime it'll be pretty close to being done. I won't be doing any of the interior work per se. Most of that I think will be done by Blue Phobes and his detail teams, and Killer Waffles and all the other guys that'll be working, gals that'll be working on it and whatnot. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this ship comes together. It'll be a constant work in progress as we find new things to break and invent and work around and whatnot. But overall, so far so good, and kudos again to Blue Phobes, Killer Waffles, and all the folks. I think Creeperbot and a whole bunch of other folks have been working on it. I'm not sure. But yeah, great job, guys. Looking good. Looking really good. More to follow. Stay tuned, and thanks for watching.